Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today I will be ranking the coasters at Six Flags New England. While this is probably the least favorite park I've been to, I'll be talking about the coasters. Obviously, I wasn't very impressed by the overall quality of this park, a lot of ride breakdowns, but this is not a park review, this is just ranking the coasters. And while I did not ride most of the family coasters or kiddie coasters, I did ride, I think, 8 of them there. Yeah, so I rode all the thrill coasters and then Pandemonium, which is their Gerstlauer family spinner. Alright, and starting off at number 8, we have Flashback or Trashback. This is their boomerang, Vacoma boomerang. See it at a lot of parks, and it's absolutely terrible. Just as you can see there, super shaky, non-stop head banging, just bashing your head back and forth, forwards, backwards, not fun at all. I would say going forwards is probably worse than going backwards. I didn't find going backwards to be nearly as bad, but still pretty brutal, and definitely one of the worst coasters I've ridden, just because of how rough it is. And it kind of shows you how Six Flags doesn't take as good care of their rides as some other chains, although for other coasters here I will say that's a bit of a different statement. Alright, next we have the B&M Florida coaster, which is Batman the Dark Knight. This is not a good ride. I didn't really enjoy it. It had nothing really unique to it. Super short. Definitely my least favorite florist, and had a few moments of head banging. This is really uninspired layout. Literally nothing that you can't find on another floorless. Again, you got your typical curved drop, which is probably my least favorite drop on a floorless. Doesn't really do much. Vertical loop doesn't do much. Forceless, dive loop. Again, just you see that on a lot of floorlesses. And then you got zero G roll. Again, see that on a ton of floorlesses. And then probably what you see on almost every floorless, the interlocking corkscrews, which again are boring and definitely the roughest parts of the ride. And that's over already. And yeah, it's way too short. Next we have Riddlers Revenge, which is the park's Vacoma SLC, and it is not nearly as bad or brutal or headache-inducing as Mind Eraser at Six Flags Darien Lake, but it's definitely still needs some track work. I'm not sure if they did it, but this does have the Vacoma vests, which are really comfy. But the ride is super, super shaky. I don't know what they messed up while building some of these SLCs, but it is so just unbelievably shaky. This one's not really painful because of the vest restraints, so you don't bash your head around the entire ride, but it's just so unbelievably shaky. It shakes your body around like a rag doll. And I was just laughing the entire ride because of how just shaky it was. But, I guess it was kind of fun because you weren't banging your head around, but still not the greatest ride, but not one of the worst rides I've ridden. Alright, next up we have Goliath, the Vacoma giant inverted boomerang. And, yeah, this ride's nowhere nearly as bad as people say it is. Before the retrack, people say it was one of the roughest rides ever, and still after it, they say it's rough, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, right here, there's that one little moment of head banging there, but that is all. This ride is super smooth. At the low points, there's some very intense moments, really good positives, like right there, and, there's a little bit of a rumble at the low moments, but, otherwise, it's very smooth. The drops are just awesome. I sat in the back going... And people say the back row's the worst, but I found it to be pretty smooth, actually. So the front's probably glossy smooth, but, yeah, this POV is before the retrack, and I think it's a good ride. I enjoyed it. It was pretty intense, and, if you're out here, I recommend it. Even in the back, I rode in the back my one ride, and it wasn't that bad. But overall, it's a pretty fun ride. Mostly smooth, with the good G-forces, and... yeah, not nearly as bad as people say it is. People underrate the crap out of this. Next up, we have Pandemonium, the Gerstlauer spinning coaster, and this ride took me by surprise, actually. It was my 50th coaster. I wasn't expecting much, but spinning was really fun, and so yeah, it wasn't really intense, but it was just felt like you were going through it a lot faster than you actually were. Everything was very quick, rapid transitions, and even some good airtime, which we'll see later on here. And yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be this fun, but this ride, all I can describe it as is just pure fun. Definitely unique. Even though these are cloned, but you don't find these at a whole lot of places. Alright, next we have the Joker, which is the SNS free spin clone, and I swear, every time I ride these, I'm just blown away by how crazy the whip on it, the airtime, the hang time. It's just a crazy feeling. Obviously, it does not spin as much as this. The only one that does that is the one in Japan at Nagashima Spotland. I think it's called Arashi. But these are still super fun rides. Just crazy whip, airtime, hang time, and you're just being flung back and forth, upside down. It's just insane how much this thing could throw you around, and it feels like you're going to fly out of your seat at any moment. Super fun, kind of intense. It's a good ride. Alright, next we have Superman the Ride, which is the Intamin Hypercoaster. And this ride is great, but if you know even a little bit about this ride, you've probably heard about those horrific restraints that are the U-bricks. I don't think I've ever felt more uncomfortable by a restraint. Even, like, just sitting in the station and pulling that thing down, it's so tight, it just squeezes your legs, and it's just awful. So you go down this drop, and no airtime because you're just being squeezed into your seat. A pretty intense moment there. You're going really fast. Great view of the Connecticut River. Again, you don't get any airtime there. You feel the upward forces, or the negative forces, but you don't get any of the vertical forces because of the restraints. I don't think there would have been airtime there anyway. Again, no airtime. You feel it, but you don't actually get it because of the restraints. And yeah, those kind of hurt because of how tight they are. So I have no idea. And I'm not one that's usually bothered by rattles, but this twister section is so rattly, and I did not understand it. But it's just so rattly, and just the restraints are so uncomfortable. This ride is still in my top 25, but I was just so disappointed by how bad the restraints were and how much they ruined the ride. I don't know what Six Flags was thinking when they didn't stick with T-bars, but yeah, these are awful. And I have no idea why they put the U-bricks on, but they need to get rid of them as soon as possible. Alright, and my favorite coaster at Six Flags New England is Wicked Cyclone, the RMC hybrid and conversion of the New England Cyclone. This is currently a top 5 coaster for me, sitting at my number 5 spot, and this ride, I've heard, before I went here, was not running too well. I've heard it's been running kind of sluggish and was all floater, but boy is that theory wrong. I rode it. It was early entry for 4th of July Fest. So it was before the official park opening, and it was still running just great. And I did notice that when I got my third ride and final ride on it later in the day, that it definitely did speed up, but the ride in the morning was still amazing. So great drop, especially in the back. Feels like a great RMC drop. Overbank, that really doesn't do much. Then just ejector there. Then you go into the stall. Pretty good whip, but not as good as Outlaw runs. Again, these overbanks don't do much, but great ejector here on these double down, and you get more airtime here, and this ride is non-stop. It feels like a miniature version of Steel Vengeance. Sideways, lateral airtime there, more laterals, and the hang time on these 0G rolls are so good. You just get flung out of your seat there, more laterals, and then after this little turn right here is my favorite part, just combined crazy laterals with crazy ejector. Another great hang time moment on that 0G roll. And this ride is just non-stop. Like I said, feels like a miniature version of Steel Vengeance, and it is a fantastic ride. So overall, some pretty bad coasters, some okay ones, and then a few, or I'd say one outstanding one and a few pretty good ones. So yeah, Like I said, this is not a park review, so I'm not going to go into that. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.